It's not often that a film comes out that is a thrilling horror, a poignant reflection on grief and family, and centers a villain that quickly ascends through the ranks of pop culture to be crowned a queer icon. I mean, it's only happened like 2 or 3 or 10 times in the past few years, and it also happened a couple times before that. And a couple times before that, and I'm sensing a pattern. What is it about these monsters, if we dare to call them such, that resonates so strongly with the queer community? Is it the costumes? Is it the outsider status? Is it the fact that one of them hides in the closet? Who am I to say? M3GAN took Twitter by storm with her dance moves back in October when the trailer was released, but a couple months later when the film came out, M3GAN was no longer just a meme. No, M3GAN was an icon.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment.
I realized while editing that I think I have my microphone on like the wrong setting. I think I accidentally put it a little bit like too loud or too sensitive. So sometimes the audio gets a little bit too loud. I tested the microphone before, but then I think when I started filming, I just got a little bit too excited and I had put it on the wrong setting. So sorry for slightly shitty audio at times. We make mistakes, we learn, and the next video won't have partially ugly audio. So sorry.
Before getting into the video, I want to take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, M3GAN. I've worked with M3GAN in the past, and I've used their menstrual cups for like several months now. You can use M3GAN's cups for up to 8 hours. They're made of 100% medical grade silicone. The silicone is really soft and flexible, and compared to other menstrual cups that I've used before that, they're a lot more comfortable, and throughout the day I don't even feel the cup inside me, which is a problem that I used to have with tampons. I always found them really uncomfortable, and I didn't really like the texture of pads either. Pads and tampons also end up creating a lot of waste in landfills because they're single use, whereas with a menstrual cup, it lasts for years and you can use it over and over again. M3GAN sent me the Lily Cup Compact to try out, and it's collapsible, so it ends up like collapsing down to fit into the little compact carrying case. Comes in 2 sizes, so it fits your body perfectly. This cup is perfect if you're traveling or if you're on the go. I'm actually traveling to Japan soon for a month, so I'm excited to bring this little menstrual cup with me. If you're interested in either making the switch to menstrual cups, or if you're interested in checking out M3GAN's products, the link is in the description, you know the drill. Thank you so much to M3GAN for making this video possible. And now let's get back to talking about our gay little robot friend. I'm not going to summarize M3GAN in this video because I'm looking at different like style and theme elements more than kind of specific plot points. So there will be spoilers, but the video is more about kind of the like culture around her than the kind of like film narrative itself, if that makes sense. M3GAN was a gay icon before the film even graced the cinema screens. The trailer dropped on National Coming Out Day in the US. I don't think that was a coincidence. But another element that catapulted M3GAN straight to the top of the queer culture agenda, the gay agenda, if you will, was her dance. Dances in movies and TV shows have become a TikTok phenomena. Fresh, Wednesday, Top Gun Maverick. The people love a viral dance. But M3GAN was different. M3GAN was camp. M3GAN was queer. There was something so funny about seeing this AI girl dressed like a Victorian doll dancing like an octopus. The song that was actually featured in the trailer was a remix of Taylor Swift's It's Nice to Have a Friend. And again, Taylor Swift, beloved by the girls and the gays, and also ended homophobia in 2019 with You Need to Calm Down. It's nice to have a friend, and it's nice to have an ally. Before we'd even seen the film, the queer community opened its arms and ushered M3GAN in as one of their own. In an interview with Vox, Joe Velese, who edited the collection of critical essays It Came from the Closet, talked about the initial kind of response and reception to the trailer. It feels very much like we're assigning context and meaning to the visual before we even know what it is. And that is what gay and queer men of our generation have always done. That gayness and queerness are sort of an act of reclaiming and recontextualizing. The kind of style and content just lends itself so easily to like a queer camp moment, one might say. But to be honest, when I first saw the trailer and I saw the dancing M3GAN memes, I didn't think the film was going to be that good. That doesn't mean I wasn't going to see it. Of course I was going to see it, but I wasn't rushing to the cinema to see it on opening day, and that means that I missed the hordes of little girls reenacting M3GAN's dance. And that's a decision that will haunt me for the rest of my days. And I have to live with that. It was only when I saw the press pouring out and I saw article after article about how M3GAN was a queer and gay icon, not only because of the trailer, but also because of the film, that I started thinking, maybe there's something more to this film than I gave it credit for. Despite having the premise of a Black Mirror episode and delivering commentary on our relationship to technology, especially the relationship between parenting and technology, M3GAN, the film, doesn't take itself too seriously. It doesn't veer into the realm of a didactic, cautionary tale. It depicts how, in the words of The Guardian's Peter Bradshaw, kids are given iPads the way Victorian children were given alcoholic gripe water. And that's true, but the humor in the film kind of keeps everything light. The notion of an AI robot becoming sentient and going against her programming, going feral and becoming a killer doll, barreling towards you on all fours in the forest, that is terrifying. But it's that latter element, the way M3GAN goes feral, that keeps it from being purely horror and changes it into something that's both terrifying and hilarious. She kills a handful of people over the course of the film, but she doesn't just kill them with a cold, blank stare. She makes a spectacle of it. She kills them in really elaborate ways. And that makes the film campy. It's not like an Ex Machina where the doll gains sentience and then just kills everybody. You know, M3GAN brings a little song and a dance to her murders.
What did you think was going to happen? I was going to let you decommission me without even talking about it?
Look, I know you think you're maximizing your objective function.
As I said, the film is labeled a horror film, but in a lot of aspects, it's more of a comedy. The marketing for the film fully leaned in to the comedic aspects, and shout out to whatever Gen Z queer intern was running the Twitter account, because they really knocked it out of the park. In the film, the satire is introduced at the very beginning with this kind of spoof commercial of Perpetual Pets, which is like an AI Furby. The Perpetual Pets ensure that your child never endures the pain of loss. They never go through grief, because what good is having a Labrador when you can have a cuddly toy that farts, eats off an iPad, and listens to everything that your kids say?
In each pet, we installed a listening model that targets conversational patterns among kids.
You did not just tell me that.
The plot is pretty straightforward and hits all the beats that you would expect from a killer doll horror film, but it's never boring, and the film is carried by this kind of comedic through line. M3GAN is Annabelle meets Ex Machina with a little sprinkle of Blair Waldorf. So yes, she's terrifying, she's killing people, but she's doing it all with a little twinkle in her eye. Her quips, her responses are made all the more like Mean Girl fake nice with the kind of auto-tuned, artificial chirpy voice.
You are not to interfere with users' private conversations. Is that clear?
100%.
And what a voice. She really shows that off during the course of the film. She sings, among other songs, Titanium.
You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium.
She sings Titanium, and she's literally made of titanium. That's comedy. As Alex Abad Santos notes in his review, M3GAN plays into the legacy of camp and queer culture and the legacy of glamorous women who dance and are also capable of homicide. He lists Chicago as a kind of precursor or, step in this legacy of beautiful, murderous women. M3GAN wears sunglasses, and she takes them off with a dramatic, Miranda Priestley-esque flourish when she enters a room. But she is a robot. She doesn't have eyes. She does not need sunglasses. She just wears them for the drama. And again, that's camp. I appreciate that. The gays love a beautiful evil woman, even if she's an AI doll, maybe especially if she's an AI doll. Aside from the style, I also think there's something in the subject matter that resonates with queer audiences. As far back as Frankenstein, queer readers and audiences have identified with the monster or the villain of the story. And seeing an outsider who's scared, who's trying to find their place in the world only to be rejected, ostracized, and violently targeted by the majority, queer audiences find a piece of themselves. Horror monsters represent those on the margins of the community, and over the past 100 years, queer communities have identified with the villains who are, most of the time, also victims in their own right. Obviously, the social, political, cultural landscape has changed drastically over the past 100 years, but that hasn't stopped queer communities, namely gay Twitter, from standing the latest horror villain who slays, in both senses of the word. There's also a strong theme of found family in this film. Kitty and Gemma kind of act as strangers at the beginning, even though they are blood related, and Kitty and M3GAN end up really bonding, and it's M3GAN who acts kind of all at once as a mother, a big sister, and a best friend to her. And as queer people well know, sometimes your immediate family, your blood relations, aren't the most supportive of you, so you end up having to kind of make your own found family from friends and other loved ones. The fact that the film centers around women as another kind of checkbox of like the list of what queer audiences love. Brent Bailey said, "Gays, we love a woman in charge, and the three main characters of this movie are women. Gay men have always loved movies about female friendship. From Thelma and Louise to Jennifer's Body, the girls and the gays have always been linked." And as I was kind of like reading about the queer community's relationship to kind of either female-led films or just like what films kind of tend to be beloved by the queer community, it does seem like a lot of them center women. And I think one of the things that I saw put forward was that it's like a reclaiming of femininity that gay men are often kind of shunned for or ridiculed for, but it's a way of kind of celebrating that aspect of their personality, their sexuality, that goes against those kind of grains of like macho, heteronormative masculinity. Obviously, that could vary hugely according to like each person's personal preference, but I do think that that is like an interesting thing to note and something that I didn't really think about before reading up on this. Ironically, films that are made for gay audiences, supposedly, like the rom-com Bros or the horror They Them, have been met with lukewarm reception and very little box office success. Instead, it's films like Ma, The Babadook, Barbarian, and M3GAN that have captured the hearts of queer audiences, and without even trying to, in a lot of cases, they end up kind of representing or symbolizing some aspects of queer experiences. I thought it was interesting because over the past 5 years, especially, we've seen a lot more films that center on queer characters and queer stories, but more and more, the kind of film favorites, the comfort films of queer communities aren't films that are explicitly about queer characters. There's something where there's kind of more levels to it, or there's something a bit more playful about it. And I'm not trying to negate the importance of like reflecting true experiences on screen. That's really important. It should be done. But then, you know, with films like Bros and They Them, when it's kind of, I don't want to say pandering, but when it's kind of almost an artificial, or like, it feels like these films are made by like an algorithm where it's like, oh, make a film that queer people would like, boom, and like there's no real like personality or like there's no real kind of depth to it, if that makes sense. And I also just think there is something fun and playful about seeing a film about something completely unrelated to being a gay person like M3GAN, and just being like, yeah, maybe she is a killer doll, but she's also like a queer icon. You know, it's just, in some ways it's unexpected. In other ways, it's like, how could I have not seen this all along? It's so natural. It's so obvious. I mean, as you guys know, I've made videos before about films that aren't explicitly queer stories like High School Musical, but I'm like, no, this is actually gay. There's something fun about it. And I also just think it makes for really interesting discussions.
I forgot to mention that, like, the reason that queer people kind of, like, adopted films that weren't centered on queer people was because there weren't really films made about queer people. So queer audiences kind of had to, like, prescribe meaning or read between the lines in order to find representation, essentially. And I think what I was trying to say here was that even though there are films now about queer people and centering queer people and telling queer stories, there's still that kind of impulse there to read between the lines and adopt films that might not have been made for them necessarily, or made to tell a story about, like, queerness, whatever. But yeah, I think there's still ways to find kind of that added value or, like, added representation, I guess, in films that aren't even about queer people.
I think kind of in the nature of M3GAN, I didn't want to make this video too serious. I wanted to kind of keep it light and playful. I hope wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you have a lovely day, night, evening, week, month, life. Yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will see you in my next video.